Hey guys, and welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video I'll be going through my AFL tips for round 9 and how they went, and then also going through and tipping for round 10. So before we get into the video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into the video. So as you can see, for round 9 I went and scored 5 out of 10, which was the bottom 96%, as I'm pretty sure a lot of people would have got this game right, and then a fair few would have got this game right. A lot of my the two games that I went against the grain, they turned out to be wrong. So obviously I picked Geelong by 45 and they ended up losing by 24, which was a huge margin. And then Gold Coast I predicted by 28 and they won by 70. And then I predicted the Swans by 17 and they lost by 17. Port by 48 and they ended up winning by 70. Then I predicted Melbourne by 65 and they ended up winning by 54. And then Brisbane by 36 and they ended up winning by 42, so one goal off there, and I'm pretty sure there was a late goal as well. Picked Carlton by 13 and they've just been horrible this year, as Western Bulldogs won by 20. Picked Saints by 12 and they ended up losing by 52 is that. And then picked Collingwood to win by 45 and they ended up winning by 65 in the end. So not the best tipping this last round, but let's move on to the next round. So for the first game of the round we have Adelaide versus Port Adelaide. How did I get that? I think I was looking at Adelaide Oval, but it's Port Adelaide versus Melbourne, and I'm going to pick Melbourne in this game. I just think they're too much of a threat this year, and I do think that Port's winning run does come to an end. I've probably tipped that like the last 3 weeks, Port's winning run coming to an end, but I think Melbourne are just going to be too good, especially in the key position areas. And I just think that Grundy and Gorm will have an absolute field day on the likes of who's even rocking for them, Teakle, or a new guy might even be introduced. So I think Melbourne are going to win by, I'm going to say, 40. I do think they absolutely smoke Port in this game, just because I think Port, yes, they've played some good sides, Port, but I do think that they played North, they played Essendon, was a good side, but they creeped over there. They beat St Kilda, which was a good win. Beat West Coast, everyone's going to beat West Coast, and then beat Western Bulldogs, but Western Bulldogs I don't think were in the best of form then. So I think they've been lucky to hit some of the better sides now when they're out of form, and played the easy sides in between. North versus Sydney, well, I kind of have to go Sydney, even though I don't really trust the guys at the moment. They're they're easily favourites at the moment, and probably rightfully so, but they have literally no one. But I think they will. I think they get probably Melican will come back this week, and that'll push Francis forward, even though I don't like that move. And that'll probably be one of the changes, and then I just see probably Sheldrick coming back as the only other change. So hopefully they can get some continuity with their team and stop having 2 injuries a game. It seems like 2 injuries a game and then 2 guys come back is the motto that we're going by. I mean, it's not as bad as West Coast, which is 3 in, 2 back. So hopefully this one's can just get some guys back and I guess sort of rebuild from this game here, as they've got Carlton next week, which they could smash and grab, and then that'll get them to 5-5 is that, I want to say. This is round 10, so it'll be 5-6 they get to, and from 5-6 you can make a late charge, I guess. So it's not over for the Swans, but I think it is pretty much over. So I'm going to say the Swans by 26. Then you got Western Bulldogs versus Adelaide, and this is at Miles Stadium. I mean, Adelaide, who have they lost to? They lost to Geelong and to Collingwood by thin margins, basically. And then they beat St Kilda. They smoked St Kilda, beat Hawthorn, and beat Carlton. So do I go Adelaide or do I go Western Bulldogs? Western Bulldogs beat Carlton. beat GWS, beat Hawthorn, and beat Freo. I think I got to go Adelaide in this game, but this could go either way. And going Adelaide, just because I think that they will. I think they have a way in which they can. Both teams have Dawson and Bond, who are pretty much unmarkable. So it's sort of just who's going to be the best of the rest, I guess. And I think Laird is just going to be better than the likes of McRae and others in the Western Bulldogs midfield. So I think Laird's going to have a really good game here. So I'm going to go Adelaide in a close one by 12 points. Then you have Freo against Geelong. Geelong's going to win this, even though Freo's in some bit of form. I do think they came up against a pretty weak Swans outfit with, the Swans are small anyway, but they're even smaller when you have Melican, Rampy, McCartan brothers, 4 key defenders out, which lowers, I think, the tallest key defender height by about 4 or 5 centimeters. I think Melican is the tallest key defender we have at 194, which is just not tall enough. So that's an area that they need to recruit, I guess. But I think Geelong, being huge, will be able to counter that against Fremantle, and Fremantle's talls won't have a big impact. Yes, you will see an impact of Sarong and Brayshaw, but I don't think it'll be as big as I think Geelong's midfield will stifle that a little bit. So I'm going Geelong by 17 points. Then you got Brisbane versus Gold Coast, and I'm going to go Brisbane. Gold Coast just haven't had much continuity, to be honest. They beat West Coast, lost to Melbourne, beat Richmond, but Richmond were bad that game, and then beat North Melbourne, so they've only really beaten up the bad sides, and they even lost to Freo when Freo weren't playing that well. So I'm going to go Brisbane by honestly 66 points. I think they absolutely smoke them because Brisbane are one of the informed sides in the comp, and they've gone 152, 108, 115, 100, and then here they scored 87, but could have easily with accuracy scored over 100 again. I think they put 100 points on in this game. Then you have Essendon versus Richmond, and I'd say Richmond. Who did Richmond beat last week that caused that? They beat Geelong. That's what it was. But Geelong had a lot of their guys out injured. So maybe that's a reason why. But I still think Geelong, even with guys out injured, will be able to beat Freo. Because I think they do get Paddy Dangerfield back, which is a huge... He's almost worth 2 players. That's how big of an influence he is on them, even though he doesn't have the amount of disposals that some guys have. I think it's almost just an aura that he brings that enables him to lift the team up. Richmond versus Essendon. Essendon have lost 3 on the bounce. I mean, they played Brisbane. They played Port, who are pretty good. They played Geelong, and they've played Collingwood. I don't think... Essendon are struggling with a lot of their players out, but and they do have a midfield struggle at the moment, so do I think they'll win? The problem is, I know Richmond, I know that both of these teams are very, the results are very false almost, so you need to just pick, and I'm going to go with Essendon, and I'm going to pick Essendon by 13 points. Then you have Hawks versus Eagles, and I guess it's Hawks because... the Eagles are so uncompetitive, and they honestly, if we go down here, Eagles lost to Geelong here, lost to Port, lost to Carlton by over 100 points, lost by over 50, and lost to West Coast, whereas they lost to Giants, they lost to Adelaide, they lost to the Western Bulldogs, they lost to Freo, and they lost to Melbourne. I just think Hawthorn have been a little bit more competitive, and I think they have the better... I think they honestly almost have the better midfield, even though it doesn't show. It doesn't really make sense with Sheed and Kelly being there, but I just think that Hawthorn's midfield is obviously a little bit younger, but a little bit better contested possession-wise, and that's why you'll see... I could be completely wrong about the contested possession, but I think that's why you'll see Hawthorn win, and I think you'll see West Coast probably not even win a game the whole rest of the year, to be honest with you. And so I'm going Hawthorn by 8 points. Then you have Carlton Collingwood. Collingwood's going to win this game. I know that there are things about this exact same fixture last year and how it was Carlton that won. Was it Carlton that lost against the odds, as they were 8-1 or something like that, and Collingwood were 4-5, which is eerily similar to what it is at the moment, as Carlton are 4-1 and Collingwood are 8-1 at the moment. So that would put Carlton at 5-4 and one draw, and that would put Collingwood at 8-2. So basically the same scenario. But I'm going Collingwood. In a closer one, I think they'll win this by 17. No, I won't go 17. I'll go 19 points. And then you got GWS for St Kilda, and I think St Kilda win this game. Even with all the injuries, I just think that their ruckman, Royal Marshall, will probably have a huge fantasy score, but also just a huge impact on this game. I think it will maybe even kick 2 goals and have 25 disposals as well, and have a huge game. So I'm going St Kilda by 23. So that's the predictions there, and that's the video. So if I go back to the main screen, that's the AFL predictions for round 10, and I'll see you guys in another video. Thanks guys, goodbye.